All right, welcome back to Database History, where we dig into the evolution of the world's most influential databases. Today, we're jumping into a release that, honestly, was a fundamental shift in what a database could even be, MongoDB 7.0. When this dropped back in August 2023, it wasn't just an update, it was like MongoDB got a new brain.
And this quote right here, it just nails the entire philosophy behind the 7.0 release. It signaled a really deliberate move away from just being about pure speed and towards something way more profound, actual intelligence. It was about building a database that could really understand context and, one that developers would actually love to use.
So let's unpack that first piece, making the database smarter. What does that really mean? This was all about laying the groundwork, setting the stage for the next generation of applications, especially the ones being powered by AI.
The flagship feature, the real star of the show, driving this push into intelligence, was vector search. This single addition was a huge deal. It pointed the whole platform in a new direction, basically getting it ready to power this new wave of AI-driven applications. Okay, so what in the world is vector search? I know, the name sounds super technical and kind of intimidating, but the core idea behind it is actually surprisingly intuitive, and man, is it powerful.
For decades, search has been pretty simple, right? It's about matching exact keywords. You type car, you get car. Vector search just changes the whole game. It allows you to search based on context, on semantic similarity, on the actual meaning behind what you're looking for. It's the difference between finding a word and actually understanding an idea.
So why does this matter? Well, it's the magic behind the kind of features we all expect now. Think about recommendation engines that suggest products you'll actually like, not just stuff with similar names. It enables semantic search that understands what you're asking for. And it's pretty much the backbone for countless new AI-powered apps and machine learning pipelines.
But look, all that intelligence is only useful if it's built on a rock-solid foundation. And that's why 7.0 wasn't just about the flashy new features. The team also doubled down on the core fundamentals, making the database faster, more stable, and more reliable than it had ever been.
And these weren't just a bunch of random tweaks. They were all designed to work together. Better diagnostics meant developers could finally pinpoint why a query was slow. Faster index builds meant less maintenance downtime. And improved concurrency, well, that meant more users could hit the application at once without everything grinding to a halt. It was a whole package deal for speed and stability. And the result of all these under-the-hood tweaks was just dramatic. You could really see it. For a lot of applications, the drop in query latency after upgrading was huge. This wasn't some tiny marginal gain. It was a massive leap forward in core performance.
But a smart, fast database is only as good as the tools developers have to work with it. And that brings us to the third pillar of this whole release, a relentless focus on the developer experience.
This part was all about removing friction. Look, things like an enhanced shell or upgraded drivers or more stable APIs, they don't grab the headlines the way vector search does, but they are absolutely crucial. Every minute a developer saves from debugging a driver or fighting a clunky tool is another minute they can spend creating real value. This is how a good database becomes a great development platform.
So when we put all these pieces together, the intelligence, the performance, and the developer tools, what's the big picture? What was MongoDB 7.0 really all about when you zoom out? Ultimately, MongoDB 7.0 was a release about depth. It wasn't just about adding one cool headline feature. It was about giving developers an integrated toolkit so they could diagnose performance, handle really complex workloads, and most importantly, build that next wave of intelligent, context-aware applications.
And that brings us to the final, and I think most important question. With all these new capabilities, the focus shifts from the database to the developer's own imagination. So I'm going to leave you with this thought. With the power to search not just by words, but by meaning, what will you build?